Coming up, leaders in one town discuss medical cannabis sales.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Mount Vernon city leaders learned their resolution regarding medical cannabis sales may not make it on the November ballot after all. While the county fiscal court voted to prohibit these types of businesses, city council members opted to let voters in town decide for themselves. But a potential violation of the state's Open Meetings Act may make Monday's vote void. Grayson Passmore explains.
One of the complaints that we get around both the town and the county is that the decision making is very centralized between a select few.
Mount Vernon City Council member Michael Van Winkle called for a special called meeting Monday, where council unanimously voted to put the issue of medical cannabis businesses on the November ballot.
Tuesday was the filing deadline to put it on the ballot. Tuesday was also the day we anticipated our fiscal court voting to prohibit such businesses in the county.
Because the county voted no, Mount Vernon would not be opted into the statewide program. But then another special called meeting was held Wednesday, where Van Winkle learned the Mount Vernon Signal newspaper complained that they must be made aware of special called meetings in writing, or else they say it violates the Open Meetings Act. Van Winkle phoned them Friday morning. But the question now is whether the vote on Monday will stand. And if it's ruled that it doesn't, that means the city missed the deadline to put the issue on the November ballot.
If the Attorney General decides that action was voidable and that our resolution does not pass, then we could obviously do the same thing next year, wait a year to put it on the ballot.
Or the council could pass an ordinance that would allow those businesses to operate. Van Winkle says they'll just have to wait on a ruling, leaving uncertainty for now.
People were glad that it was on the ballot.
In Mount Vernon, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
The city has a regularly scheduled meeting tomorrow night. Members say they hope to have more answers by then.
Well, as advertised yesterday, we had highs in the mid to upper 80s, some places very close to the big 9-0. Look at Prestonsburg, had a high of 89, 88 in Jackson, 87 Manchester, 86 in Williamsburg. Grundy made it to 85. So overall, another warm, somewhat hot day across the area, especially with that humidity going up. Right now, we're still seeing temperatures in the 60s and 70s, 70 in Prestonsburg as well as Somerset, 73 Monticello, 67 Harlan, 64 in Wise. Clintwood is checking in with 62. Again, Harlan, Middlesboro area, seeing temperatures around 67. Dew points right now, 50s and low 60s. Again, not a bad evening at all across the area. Now the humidity will go up as we go throughout the day on Thursday and especially into Friday. All is quiet on live pinpoint Doppler radar. The next 12 hours keeps temperatures in the mid 60s. We'll quickly go to 83 by noon. I'll have your complete first alert forecast coming up in a few minutes. Steve.
All right, Eric, thank you. A grand jury returned superseding indictments in the Amber Spradlin murder case in Floyd County. M.K. McKinney, his father, Dr. Michael McKinney, and Josh Mullins all face an additional charge of tampering with physical evidence. The three are accused of planting a knife in the couch where Spradlin was allegedly murdered last year. Officials say the knife was not used in the murder, but placed in the couch to suggest it was the weapon used. A Knott County man was sentenced in federal court for trafficking methamphetamine. 37-year-old Lee Rose of Vest sold meth in Knott County from at least September 2023 to January of this year. He must serve 85% of his 18-year sentence and then will be on probation for 5 years. Police in Letcher County found fentanyl and meth during a drug bust there. Police say they seized approximately half a pound of meth and 11 grams of fentanyl. One person was arrested and charged as a result. Sheriff Mickey Stein says they have seized approximately 11 pounds of meth since he took office nearly 6 years ago. Stein says drug deals can happen just about anywhere.
Gas stations, anywhere, parking lots, you know, up in hollers that's not traveled frequently, residents. I mean, it's just drug dealing happens everywhere.
Stein says they've had at least 100 cases involving fentanyl since he took office. He says another person at the drug bust who ran away could also be arrested. A Floyd County man is sentenced in federal court on child pornography charges. 26-year-old Christopher Hall of Harold produced a video of himself sexually abusing a minor in 2022. He later distributed the video to others using WhatsApp. Hall must serve 85% of his 50-year prison sentence. After he's released, he'll be on probation for 10 years. On Tuesday, Superior IGA in Clay City was damaged by a fire. The owners have now temporarily closed the grocery store as they look at repairs. WYMT's Amelia Lee tells us what the impact this temporary closing has on members of the community.
Superior IGA is called a cornerstone of the community. Clay City resident and firefighter Lisa Johnson tells us what she saw Tuesday.
And the smoke was heavy, very black smoke.
But why is the temporary shutdown of a grocery store such a big deal? Johnson tells me that many folks in the community rely on IGA because it's a walk away from where they live. Now they have to rely on a car ride. The nearest grocery store that sells things like produce and meats is in Stanton. That's a city away from where they are now. So a car ride might be necessary to get the groceries they need. Timing it out now to see just how long it takes to get from IGA in Clay City to Kroger in Stanton. That's a 9-minute drive, which could become difficult for some people who have to walk to the grocery store.
Because I know a lot of people in this area walk to the store. Some have no means of transportation.
In a Facebook post, IGA says they apologize for any inconvenience the closing may cause. But Johnson says, above all, she hopes those who work at the grocery store are going to be okay.
They lost their business. They got their community, but it doesn't make you feel better when you look inside and everything you've worked for is gone.
She says it's time for the community to step up and help their neighbors in need.
We'll help them as they've always helped us, so it's our turn to give back to them now.
There's no word on when the grocery store plans to reopen. In Powell County, Amelia Lee, WYMT, Mountain News.
Johnson says the fire marshal will be heading to IGA to assess the damage tomorrow. Perry County school administrators announced the start date for Buckhorn School has been delayed. Now students will return on Monday, August 26th. They were originally going to go back tomorrow. Chief Financial Officer Jody Maggard says they ran into some things that needed to be cleared up inspection-wise. Maggard says administrators have made a big push to get the school reopened.
We knew it was going to be sort of a game day decision. We were hopeful that we were going to be able to get kids in school tomorrow with all of our other schools and just start everybody at the same time. But we run into some hurdles that we just couldn't overcome, time mainly being of the essence on some of them.
Maggard says those inspections should be completed within a week. The first day for all Perry County schools besides Buckhorn is still tomorrow. Today was move-in day at Eastern Kentucky University in Richmond, and it's a record breaker with 4,700 students living on campus this fall. This year's freshman class is also the largest in school history. And here are when classes start for some other colleges in our area. August 26th will be the first day of classes for the University of Cumberland's in Williamsburg. The University of Virginia at Wise is starting the new year on August 21st, next Wednesday. U-Pike is set to begin its new school year on August 26th, and Alice Lloyd College in Knott County will begin the fall semester on August 20th. Former President Donald Trump returned to the campaign trail in the battleground state of North Carolina this afternoon, while his running mate visited Michigan. Both presidential campaigns are expected to focus on the economy this week. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
As the presidential race tightens a little more than 80 days from the election, the economy is a focal point for both campaigns this week.
From the day I take the oath of office, we will rapidly drive prices down and make America affordable again.
At a rally in Asheville, North Carolina, former President Donald Trump highlighted his proposals to eliminate federal taxes on Social Security, and he's calling for no taxes on tips, which the Harris campaign is also now proposing.
And we will do something else which was copied, viciously, ruthlessly copied. No tax on tips, okay? You know, if they wanted to do that, why didn't they do it 3.5 years ago?
A new report out Wednesday put the annual inflation rate at 2.9% in July, the first time it's been under 3% since 2021. The Biden administration says the momentum is in the right direction.
The second message from today's report is that while the trend is our friend, our work is far from done.
On Friday, Harris will also travel to North Carolina to unveil her own economic plans ahead of the Democratic National Convention next week. The campaign says the remarks will discuss tackling inflation and outline a plan to take on corporate price gouging.
I think we need a new, clean, crisp agenda. It's got to be more than just being against somebody else. It has to be looking at what are we moving towards.
On Thursday, Harris joins President Biden in Maryland for their first joint appearance since he dropped out of the race. Trump will head to Bedminster, New Jersey to host another news conference. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
In what may be a further hint of what's to come in Vice President Harris's economic speech Friday, her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, said he thinks the government should institute paid family and medical leave. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, one agency in Washington is now scrutinizing the junk fees in school lunches.
And humidity returns, so do cooler temperatures and thunderstorm chances. We'll talk all about that in a few minutes. Stay with us.